How do you build a hi-fi system over 7 years? All right, this question comes from Chris in Phoenix, Arizona. Chris writes, "Hi Paul, love the videos and hope you make one out of my letter. So my question is, how do I build a great system little by little, say maybe over 7 years? I don't have a pile of cash that I can spend all at once in my dream system, but I can't afford $3,000 or $4,000 once a year on one component of my system. My current system is very modest and altogether costs around $1,000 or less, so I plan to upgrade everything. With tax refund season around the corner, what should be the first component I buy? That makes me feel or hear I have made a significant upgrade to my system. Should I start with speakers or the amp or the preamp? What would your beginning to end list look like with 8 to 10 nice components, and in what order should I buy them in? Any help getting me pointed in the right direction? Sounds from the start, direction from the start would be wonderful." Can't read today. Okay, Chris, we're gonna go through that. But before we do, if you were with us yesterday, you might remember that we were sitting in Music Room 1, and I was showing you how on the Clio system, which is a system we use to measure loudspeakers as we're designing our loudspeakers, I was going to show you how that worked and what it sounded like, because Clio makes kind of a funny noise that most of you have probably never heard. And so I thought we'd just pick it up where we left off from yesterday, and I'll run you a quick sweep on this. So what we have here is called the Clio. It's a measurement system, runs on a computer, and you've got a calibrated microphone and a big display and all this stuff. And we have the upcoming Sprout speaker, which is really cool. You got a ribbon driver, you got a carbon fiber woofer. It's really, really nice. And I'm just going to measure real quick, just the woofer, the raw woofer, okay? And you'll notice, and Ohm's Law listeners can enjoy this as well, you'll hear what we hear when we measure a loudspeaker. So what I had to do is make sure this microphone is 1 meter, 3 feet away from the speaker. Then I simply go over here and I click this button and watch and listen. So then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to find this. There it is. So what do we have? And that sound, by the way, that whoop, whoop, we can do it again. Watch. So that's going from 10 hertz, 20 hertz, all the way up to 20 kilohertz. It does it real quick. The system has the ability to ignore the room, so it's like it's in an anechoic chamber. And basically what we have here is this is what the woofer looks like. And this woofer, you'll have to, if you get into speaker design, you have to learn how to read all this stuff, because you could see, oh my gosh, it's going all over the map. But you have to look for an average curve, and we can see over here where this woofer is going up to about, right here is about 3 kilohertz, and at 3 kilohertz it's got a little bit of a resonant peak, and now it's going to fall straight off. So this woofer goes to about 3 kilohertz, and then over here in this box, it's going to about 60 hertz? Yeah, about 60 hertz. And then it starts to fall off precipitously, and then this part here is the room. So in using this woofer, if we're going to keep it in the sealed box and we're not going to do anything to it, we're going to take this whole curve down a little bit in order to flatten this out, and then we're going to, before it starts hitting its peaks and its resonances, we're going to start rolling it off. So we'll roll off the top end. We might want to boost up the bottom. There's all kinds of things we can do, but this just gives us an idea in this little box what this driver looks like, and that's the sound that Clio makes. Okay, so to Chris's question, I have always been a big advocate of speakers first. So Chris, you suggest you have $4,000 or $5,000 to spend. And you sound like a person who is willing to be patient. You sure as hell ain't describing me. I couldn't do it. So here, I'll tell you first what I would do, and then I'm going to suggest what I think you should do. Because speakers first are really important, you have a system right now you invested $1,000 in, and it's obviously working for you. So that may or may not be good enough. If it were me, it wouldn't be good enough. I would have to spend some money and upgrade my system so that as I am working on this big task you've set for yourself, I would have something to listen to music on that, that really floated my boat. And I don't know what you have for your $1,000 system, but if it were me, I would probably take that first $4,000 and invest in, it could be as simple as Sandy Gross, my buddy Sandy Gross, has a company called Golden Ear. Golden Ear makes loudspeaker towers that are pretty damn good for the price. So for $2,500, $3,000, something like that, you can pick yourself up a pair of Golden Ears, which I am guessing is so much better than what you have right now, it will be mind-boggling, okay? So I personally would pick up a pair of Sandy speakers. Let's say we throw out $2,500, or I can find a used pair somewhere, maybe for a couple of G's, right? I'd look for the upper level. Go on eBay or AudioGone, one of those sites. Find, they have an entry level that has a self-amplified subwoofer in it. Find a pair of Golden Ears, or an older pair of Deftex, his older company, because Sandy does cheap good. I mean, real good. And so find something like that that will bring a lot of musical pleasure into your life. If you already have electronics, just use those. If you want, you go down and buy a decent receiver. You could probably dump, I don't know, $700, $800 into a Sony receiver and have pretty damn good sound, or an integrated. You could even buy, one of our, you could buy a Stellar stack from us. Well, I mean, we have, a Stellar integrated coming up. Anyway, I don't want to pitch our own products, but you could buy some decent electronics and you could do that whole thing for like $4,000. Now, this is just me. Then I would wait. I would save up. Get your piggy bank out, save up $8,000, $10,000. With $8,000 or $10,000, let's use $10,000 as our starting point, right? You could buy a pair of AN3s, those speakers that we're working on. Now those are world-class loudspeakers. You could buy a really bitchin' pair of Kefs. You could buy an excellent pair of Harbeths. You could buy, you'd want to do your shopping, but using, and I would, because if you buy used in the first place, like Sandy speakers, let's say you dump $2,000 into Sandy speakers, I'll bet when you went to go sell them, you could get the same amount back for them. If you bought through us, we have a trade-in program. And I apologize, I'm not using this to pitch our product. I'm really trying to answer his question. We will give you full MSRP if you had Sandy speakers. We'll buy those speakers back from you for not what you paid for them, but what they would have retailed for in the first place towards a new set of something from us. So there are plans and deals and things out there. But so I would start with that. Then I would save my pennies. I'd get maybe $10,000 up and buy just a bitchin' pair of loudspeakers. Then over time, you work your way back, okay? The next thing I would buy the next year, work it backwards from the chain. Buy an excellent set of monoblocks, power amplifiers. The next thing, the next year, work your way back and get a great preamp and DAC and a source. And I think within 3 or 4 years, you could have a hell of a system. I don't think you need to wait 7 years. But that's the process that I would take. And if you do it that way, you have great sound for a couple of years, you get the speakers that you need, and then you can still use your old electronics, because you still got them, right? You only traded in your speakers. You can use your old electronics to drive those great speakers, and then over time start replacing those electronics. Okay, hope that answers your question. Thanks for asking it. I'll talk to you tomorrow.